constantly perceiving threat. So is there a threat or is there not a threat? Am I safe or am I not safe? And so that signal goes from the brain to the body, and then also from the body back to the brain. So it's this connection that's constantly looking for threat. Now, if your brain perceives a threat, but then your body says, oh, but there's no threat. Your eyes don't see a threat. You don't sense threat. You don't sense energy that's, not positive for you. If the body doesn't sense threat, then it will send signals through the vagus nerve primarily back to that center in the brain and say, okay, calm down. All right, you don't need to freak out right now. You can calm down, chill out, you can rest. And so it really is a two-way street. And what happens with limbic system impairment is this part of the brain gets stuck in that threat mode. And that can happen for a variety of reasons. It can happen because of childhood trauma. It can happen because of toxic relationships. It can happen because you're chronically ill and you've been gaslit by the medical system, or gaslit by your family, or because you're alone and you don't feel safe when you're alone. There's a lot of things that can cause you to get stuck in this, but the difference is here, it's if your brain perceives this threat, but then your body is constantly, if you're stressed out and you're tense and everything, like he was talking about those scans with the mold people where they're seeing a photo of mold and it's causing this triggered reaction that there's a threat, that there's danger, then this signal, you get stuck in this chronic stress cycle is what they call it. And it's just where your body and your brain are feeding off of each other and reinforcing that threat. And so this portion of your brain, you can imagine if when we were living out in the wild and whatnot, right, if we were in our tribe, and we always talk about the lion, right? That crazy lion that's out there killing us all. So it's always a lion. But so let's say the lion is coming after us and we perceive this threat, we see this threat, we sense this threat, there is a threat, there is danger. That portion of the brain is really important because it's going to allow our blood pressure to rise. It's going to allow us to run. It's going to allow us to have the adrenaline and the energy that we need to get out of there, or to hide, right? To freeze or to hide. It's not just fight or flight, right? It's also freeze or fold. So there's a lot of different choices that the brain can make in that situation, but we need that part of the brain. It's really important. It's a survival part of the brain. So without it, we probably wouldn't survive. But we need to be able to turn that on or off depending on what we sense in this world. So the main underlying question that we can ask ourselves at any moment is, am I safe? What is our answer to that? Because the brain might be perceiving a threat, it might be perceiving danger, but then how are we translating our surroundings? So if we have a lot of trauma and we're really chronically ill, or if we've got a lot of anxiety or depression, we might have this underlying belief that we're not safe. And that can keep you in the chronic stress cycle alone. If you don't believe that you're okay, if you don't really believe that you are safe, you are reinforcing this chronic stress cycle. And so back to, okay, there's danger, there's a lion coming after us, right? And so we're in a dangerous situation. We need to be able to run and we need to be able to get out of there. Well, we don't need to be able to digest food in that moment, right? We don't want to be digesting food in that moment. We need to be able to run. Yeah. So your body, your autonomic nervous system, which is controlled by this portion of the brain, is what's going to decide if you're in rest and digest mode or if you're in fight or flight mode. And so it's really important that we're able to switch between those two modes.